With a defibrillator? Oh my.
That's what I need to do to keep you awake, then that's what I'll
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
I'll stay awake, I'll stay awake.
Okay. Thank you. I was joking yesterday, that one over there was, he sits right here for senior center committee.
Get you a cattle prod, yes, absolutely. Buy one, they get your attention.
Yeah.
Warning taser, didn't we replace tasers? Test the old tasers.
Oh, it is contact taser.
For trash can there. What, just aiming for the trash can?
Yeah. And we used to grab people's arms, grab the electric fence. Hits them, goes, doesn't hit you. Sure, you know, tennis shoes, just, they grounded them.
Change the batteries.
All right, call this combined public hearing and regular meeting of the Town of Parker Council. Please silence your electronic devices during the meeting. We're going to call the public hearing to order. Roll call the council.
Mayor Hartless.
Here.
Vice Mayor Lucas. Councilmember Shantz. Here. Councilmember Daniels, absent. Councilmember De Leon.
Here.
Councilmember Waddell.
Here.
Councilmember Hooper.
Present.
All right, the purpose of the meeting is discussion for the proposed adoption of the alternative expenditure limitation, home rule option, to be submitted to voters at the November 5th, 2024 general election. Amy Putman.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm just going to go through a couple of slides here, just real high overview, easy peasy, and we'll be on our way. So alternative expenditure limitation, also known as home rule. What is this? So home rule is a provision that essentially allows the town to spend the money it collects from taxes and other sources. It lets the town council, rather than a nearly now 46-year-old state spending formula, decide what the local community needs. So we take that out of the hands of the state and their formula and then puts it into our hands of our voters. So why do we have this? So back in 1980, Arizona voters amended the state constitution to keep cities' spending in check. Checks and balances always. The amendment set spending limits that increase with population growth and inflation, which is a unique thing for us because we don't have much room to grow. So our population from 1978 has only increased by about 1,100 people. So that really restricts the amount of funds under that state-imposed limit that we could use. The home rule option has been in place and presented to the voters of the town of Parker every 4 years since 1997. And what is the impact? If this does not pass, the town will have to operate under a reduced budget, no matter how much is collected in revenue. Under the provisions of the Attorney General's office, the town will operate under approximately $6 million less than what it may need. This will negatively impact the amount of money the town needs to provide essential services, including public safety, public works, culture and recreation services, health programs, and library services. So these are the numbers that are updated from the previous. After speaking to Dennis Osuch and Nora, we added 3% onto those. Our expenditure limitation is a little high, so we're going to be looking at that, but it gives us that wiggle room in case we get a large grant or some sort of large funds for us to be able to expend those. And that's that.
So those figures,
Yeah, sorry.
those are our projected budget or?
Yeah, those are
Okay.
our projected, what we're going to the voters. So just so you know, the state imposed limits,
That's what I was curious.
I have them. Yeah, so the state imposed limits would be 5.5 million for 2025-26, 5.6 million for 26-27, 5.8 and 5.9 for 27 and 28. So if we had to go by those state imposed numbers, that would be detrimental to our town. We wouldn't be able to provide hardly any of the stuff that we do.
All right. Any comments?
I have a question here.
Sure.
The numbers you just gave us from the state, would be taken off of those numbers, or that would be the total?
No, that would be the total.
Okay.
That, the 5.8, between 5.5 and 5.9 over the next 4 years would be
Close
each
to a
year.
75% drop.
Yeah.
All right. This is a opportunity. It's a public hearing. Citizens want to make a comment. You're welcome to come up to the podium and say your piece. No? Hearing none? All right, any more questions, comments from council? All right, we'll close this public hearing and call the regular meeting to order. The roll call of council.
Mayor Hartless.
Here.
Vice Mayor Lucas.
Here.
Councilmember Shantz. Here. Councilmember Daniels, absent. Councilmember De Leon.
Here.
Councilmember Waddell.
Here.
Councilmember Hooper.
Present.
All right, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and please remain standing for our invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Louis Marsh, if you would.
Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening and we ask you to grant us wisdom, grant our leaders the wisdom, the insight, and that they will need to make whatever decisions are coming before them today. We thank you for them. We pray you would bless them. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Louis. Okay. Now it's time for our presentation for the city ballpark feasibility study. Steve?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This evening on Zoom, we have Elliot and Scott, who were part of the team. Sergio wasn't able to make the Zoom meeting this evening, and I believe Elliot's going to go through what you have in front of you, which is the final report on the feasibility for the city park. Elliot, the floor is yours, and I believe that Amy can share your screen.
Perfect.
Elliot, you should have the capability to go ahead and do that yourself.
Okay,
Perfect.
great. Yep. Let me know if you guys can see that.
Yep, we're good.
All right, great. And I think Scott was going to give us a little introduction here, lead on the project here.
Oh, sure. All right, Mayor, council members, just want to thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to be able to present this project to you. We've been working on it for quite some time with Steve and between Elliot and I and his partner. I think we've come a long way. We've given the town of Parker a lot to digest here. And I'd like to have Elliot kind of go through some of the highlights of it for you guys, and then we'll open it up to some questions at the end.
Great.
Elliot.
Well, thank you. Thanks everybody for letting me present tonight. Let me know if you have any questions. We'll keep kind of moving along until the end, but if you had anything immediately, that's no problem. We'll keep this informal. I'm going to kind of go through the document. I think you guys all have that in front of you there. I'll just kind of go through the document. I'm going to go a little bit faster through the site analysis and kind of the earlier parts. We've kind of reviewed some of that before, but really wanted to hit upon the design, the key elements of the design, as well as some of the budgetary figures and the other assets that we put together in this report. And you guys still able to see my screen here with the cover page up?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, we'll go ahead. So first, we came out, I think it was in November, or maybe December, a couple months ago here, just to kind of get an idea of the site analysis, kind of understand, what is the town of Parker? A lot of us out in the Phoenix office were, have obviously gone through Parker, but we didn't know a whole lot about it. So we really spent a lot of time just kind of driving around the city, getting familiar with the area, as well as the beautiful natural resources that you have surrounding you there. So this is just kind of a quick introduction to that. We did go through our site analysis. We walked with Steve and some of the other park members just to kind of get an understanding of what the current conditions of the site are, as well as just kind of putting some graphics to that to understand what are areas that could be improved, what were the key uses of the park, who's kind of using that space, as well as what we thought would be really good to implement in this area. With that, we did kind of see the existing conditions of the skate park, ball fields, the soccer field, as well as the memorial and the channels, as well as the bathroom and the handball courts that we kind of know. I've got some history on that and some of the disrepair of those items and some of the vandalism that happens with those as well. So we really wanted to hit upon, how do we think these, key elements could be either improved or what would be a better use of that space. And this is just a graphic that kind of goes through that. These are just a breakdown of those areas as well. We went through each kind of key element, breaking down their current condition, as well as what if it was going to be replaced or upgraded, or if it was going to be, completely changed to something else that might be a little bit more valid for this time. And a continuation of that as well. With that, we met with the town council early on in that process, hearing what were the main uses of the park. Some of the things that we did during that was inventory what's existing, kind of the rough square footages of each one of those usage, and then we listened to the community and heard what were the main elements that we thought really needed to be upgraded, improved, or made more usable again. And we really heard that the baseball fields were the main use, as well as maybe a little bit downsized and upgraded skate park. That seems to be, when we were there, we witnessed quite a few students get dropped off after school, walking home, and they were, hanging out in that area. So we kind of got to see the park and who, might be some of those users after hours and whatnot. So we really, hit upon those items, what was currently there. We also heard that pickleball was one of the things that we was going to be introduced, as well as being able to participate in, some of the baseball teams that are in the area that are regional, might be traveling. It sounds like a couple of years ago, Parker was a host to some of those teams. A lot of them no longer are able to host at the site due to the disrepair of the baseball field. So we really, saw those in action, saw them getting used, and heard, the community and listened to what we thought would be, a better use of that area and how to integrate that. With that, we did quite a bit of research. Proposed park programming was our next section. So this was going to be all the elements that we thought, might be really important to hit upon. We did hear that there are quite a few different uses of the different leagues within the baseball fields. So I remember one of the council meetings that someone has spoken to, that some of the women's teams with the softball was also very important usage. So we wanted to make sure that we had different size fields and that we're able to accommodate all different users for that space. So we kind of split that down into the 4 different types of fields. We have the softball field, kind of the little league size, the baseball field, the pony league size, and then the little league size. We have 2 of those as well. So we heard that those would be really the important drivers of the park. Seems like that was going to be the primary focus from the community. With that, we also kind of looked at modern usage. We did a comparative study to regional parks in the area, be that Kingman or Quartzsite or any of the other surrounding communities that we're familiar with in the area. Just getting some ideas of what they include in their regional parks, as well as what, how large they are. One of the comments we received from the city and the members was that the skate park was quite a bit larger than its typical usage. So we really wanted to integrate that a little bit better by modernizing it and really increasing, the usability within even a smaller space, so we can kind of add other park elements to that area. With that, we did kind of just do some studies as far as what would be required for updated for the dugouts, for the scoreboards, concession area. That was one of the things that was discussed, that they wanted a little bit larger area to be able to actually do concessions during the games, as well as have some playgrounds and other key elements for sports courts, such as tennis court or a hybrid with the pickleball courts, that families could utilize while maybe the older kids are playing baseball, or be able to do some other areas that are kind of drawing people into the park. One of the other elements that we had some main Plaza Ramada, which we'll review, as well as was brought up multiple times through the report that splash pad was something that the community seemed to be highly interested in. I know there was a survey a while ago that the community had done, so that was something that we were also proposing within this space. This is just kind of an idea, just drawing from the theming and the project inspiration. When Sergio and I were there, we walked around quite a bit of different areas. We drove down to the river, across the bridge. Really got an idea that, there's such a surrounding beauty that surrounds Parker. The land is super important, the mountains within the distance, and of course the river is right there. It's kind of the lifeblood of the community, and historically speaking. I also know it's quite important to the Native American tribes that surround that area, both today and historically. So that was something that we really were drawn to. Kind of gave us an idea of, maybe we can introduce some theming elements to the park that help tie all of the different assets together, instead of just having, different features scattered across the map. There's something that kind of ties them all together. And that's how we kind of came to the river theme was one of the main concepts we had discussed early on. And this was kind of just an early grammatical schematic of that. Again, kind of mimicking a little bit of the design of Parker, kind of nestled on the riverbank there, and how we can actually tie that into the park design. So we have all the key elements kind of tied together by this idea of a river walk, which is this really pedestrian core-oriented space that's provided by shade, and that really will unite all the areas all the way down from baseball fields to the playground to the skate park at the far end. And with that, we also kind of completed just a narrative, just getting some ideas. I won't go into that one in this detail, but just kind of tying all those elements together. So our first run through, we kind of came up with, working with Steve and some of the park members there, we came up with a early conceptual diagram. Some of this was just kind of based on, again, that community feedback, as well as the community survey that we had input from. We really wanted to tie, again, those 4 baseball fields were the kind of the main focus, and then we had that all tied together by that blue kind of ribbon that runs through the site, and that's representative of the sidewalks and different pedestrian areas. And that's really intended, again, not just for people that might be walking, but also for, maybe biking, or we saw kids rollerblading while we were there. So it's really just an idea that brings families together and kind of gives a really deep circulation to the surrounding community. We did see quite a few people using the park just to cross through it, to get to one side or the other. So we really wanted to bring an idea of keeping people there instead of just a shortcut through another part of the city. So this is going to be, it's a really strong design that kind of keeps people into the circulation, but also has strong connections to the surrounding Native American community to the south, but also to the city to the north. These are just some character images from surrounding areas and communities. We did a pretty in-depth site analysis of, just doing comparative studies just to understand what are the typical sizes and scales and who are the people using, these spaces within the community. And these are some of the repeating elements that we saw throughout those that we kept kind of coming to the surface that we wanted to be able to integrate into the park design. With that, from the early concept, we received some feedback from Steve, kind of just sharpened our pencil a little bit, just trying to get some better ideas. And this is the resulting plan, and I'll walk through this one in a little bit more detail. Again, you'll see that the 4 baseball fields are kind of laid in a quadrant pattern. We wanted to place them sort of in the center of the park, as they are the main driving element. They could all be done in, about once or in phases. There's a lot of things to consider here. This is a conceptual plan, so there will be things that, might change as we continue down and get to the CD and the kind of the development blueprint level plans. But this is really an encompassing idea of all the different ideas, elements, and key characteristics that we saw in surrounding communities, as well as from the community feedback. And I'll kind of start in the entrance area up here and just work our way down through the design. So first we have, the entrance memorial is the park sign. There is a current boulder there that we wanted to accentuate, but also maybe have a little bit larger entry monumentation. That was something we noted that, this kind of an arrival up to the space was really important. So people don't just drive past it. They know this is a designated park space that's going to be important for communities and all the families that might be arriving to that area to understand who this is for. From there, we kind of move into the skate park, which we worked with a couple different companies. One was American Ramp Company. They were able to put together some cost estimates as well as a preliminary design for us. Sergio, myself, and I don't think Scott are super familiar with skate parks in themselves, but we really learned a lot through the process and how to really modernize and utilize that space very efficiently. really will change that design from the sunken bowl to a raised platform design. So that way you have a lot increased view, a little bit better security, and a much better drainage situation. So you don't have water building up in the space during high flow events. From the skate park, moving just towards the west here, we have our baseball and some shaded ramada areas. Throughout this site, you can see the pedestrian trails kind of meandering through that area. It is intended that that kind of will have, benches and ramadas and shade picnic areas for families to be able to gather and enjoy, as well as have maybe special events. I know that was mentioned during the community meetings that sometimes there are annual walks or other kind of programming elements that we wanted to be able to include there. We do have the tennis and pickleball courts. That area is able to accommodate 2 tennis courts or 4 pickleball. So that kind of works as a hybrid system was the intention there. That was one of the things we did hear from the community as well, that pickleball is an increasing interest. So that was something we wanted to be able to facilitate in the space. And that is intended that the nets can be repositioned or moved, so you can either use them as a pickleball or as the tennis, just depending on what configuration they're at during that period. From there, we have sort of 2 different playground sizes. This is intended, again, to be able to have central kind of element to keep families together. We have a larger programmed swing set and kind of playground area up to the north. That's going to be for the larger, a little bit older kids, the 5 to 12-year-olds. And then to the south, just directly there, you have the 2 to 5-year-olds, which can typically call the tot lot. That way, again, parents can be somewhere in the middle, keep an eye on both the kids. If they have the younger and the older, they can kind of have an idea where they're all at. Within that area, we also had some storytelling elements. That was something we just wanted to be able to include. So we had a little storytelling rock circle there, just to give an idea. It might be just something with some large boulders placed in a circle. And that's, again, just kind of a neat kind of theming element, some ties to the Native Americans as well. That's a very important cultural element. With that, and then directly in the center of this area, we do have our event lawn, which is kind of a raised bowl shape. That would be kind of the intent that you'd be able to have maybe bands or different sort of themed elements of people coming in to do different programs. So we've seen talent shows here in Phoenix, all kinds of different events that you'll be able to hold in there while you have a larger gathering of people out in the lawn, being able to watch towards center stage. And that's just, again, a great way to kind of have a really good tightly knit community event, as well as be able to activate that space instead of just having large amounts of lawn. You can kind of keep that coordinated into a smaller area. With that, then you do have the main plaza and the central kind of rotunda area that will kind of unite both the parking spaces, both to the north and the south, and kind of draw people throughout the site as they come into the park. Continuing from there, from the central plaza, we do have our splash pad. We did consult with a couple sub-consultants that were able to give us some pricing estimates as well as design elements that we'll discuss here further coming up. But that will just be a really great way, again, to activate that space. It's one of the things that we see increasingly in the regional parks of the area. And that's something that we see a lot of family members utilizing, especially if on those hot days and during the summer months. Moving on from that area, you have the 4 kind of LAs kind of leading all into the center baseball field setup. With that, you do have a centralized concession stand and restroom that gives really a great view shed into the rest of the park as well as the surrounding community. This is a very typical arrangement that we're seeing continuously throughout the region. It really does allow you to maximize your space to have more fields in one area, and does allow you to also do some kind of cool programming elements, such as a smaller, maybe like a play area here, as well as a little turf lawn, so people can have different events in that area, as well as be able to keep the eye on the children if the older kids are playing baseball or softball. So that was kind of the idea with kind of having that long centralized corridor and view shed. It just really draws people throughout the entire space. And then continuing along, we do have kind of an outer perimeter trail. One of the things we discussed with Steve was either having maybe some exercise stations or some interpretive nature signs, just kind of giving some idea of the history or culture of the area. There are a lot of really great elements that we can include on that loop trail, but it does give you a great place for rollerblading, walking, We see people biking, all kinds of different activities that just get people outside and kind of circulating through the park as well. And then lastly, we have the soccer football field over on the southern and the western side. We did see when we were doing our site analysis that there was an existing soccer field, but one of the issues was it seems like over time, a lot of that continuously gets washed out and degraded. This soccer field is also kind of located in the basin you can see here, but it is located much higher up. So you have a lower basin to the south, which is going to be drawing the majority of the water, and only at very, very high, infrequent, maybe 100-year storm periods where you'd have actually encompass the turf area up here. So that allows the soccer and baseball field to be maintained a little bit easier. It won't get washed out, as well as gives you a nice green space in that area that can be used for a multi-purpose of different activities. Included with the design, we did want to activate the parking as well as one of the things we noted that there was parking throughout the area, but we wanted to have some of that on site. So one of the main elements was kind of tying the parking off at the more northeastern end here, and instead of having to continue all the way down like it currently does. And with that, we're allowed to add kind of a nice drainage swale. This gives you a little bit more of a natural area. Maybe break that up. You could have some riprap and plantings in the area that will all be low maintenance, low water requirement. But this gives a little bit more of a green buffer to the neighborhood to the south, as well as, again, brings a little bit more of that beauty that Parker has surrounding the natural rivers and mountain areas there. Any questions on the design so far? While we still have this page up. Okay. Continuing through the report, we did put together 4 different renderings. It's going to give an artist conceptual idea of what that might look like. We do have the skate park, again, located where it currently is, just downsized a little bit, but really maximize the efficiency of that with using the raised metal platforms. That was something that was highly recommended by the American Skate Company, who is one of the leading manufacturers for even pro use skateboard and BMX tracks. You can see the parking's been, again, that kind of tie off to the northern area. We also have a couple different elements, such as the play areas, the 2 different tot and larger kid play areas. We have the centralized Ramada with the play lawn, great lawn out here. We have the splash pad, as well as the 4 major ball fields and the soccer field in the back. This is giving kind of an idea what that could possibly look like as far as the layout goes. Same image, similar to the conceptual plan, but this is just going to be a little bit more detailed from the rendering. You can see a little bit more of those elements, such as the storytelling rock circle that we had included here, as well as that really great grass lawn there. That could also be artificial turf, is something we discussed with Steve as well. We do have pricing for both, kind of as an option A and option B. Artificial turf obviously does have an increased cost, but it does have a lower maintenance over time. You're not watering it as well, so there's a lower water usage on that. Just an idea of the playground with that great lawn and the centralized Ramada there. And the 4 baseball fields and the center concession stand. Here's a couple more renderings. Again, just giving a little bit close up of how those metal above ground ramps work. Very durable products. They have a pretty long lifetime expectancy, and they do not have the maintenance issues that you would have with a sunken bowl or the concrete that would be chipping and degrading over time. And this is one of the playground concepts that we came up with, kind of utilizing that river theme, tying that kind of meandering pathway together, but also giving some hints to the water. And there's a lot of different play elements you can provide. It could be a rubberized surface or wood bark chips. It just kind of gives you a different idea of how you can give hints to that without actually having water moving through the space. There's one of the concepts showing the basketball court, as well as the hybrid pickleball and tennis courts in the back. So with that, I won't go into all of these but each one of the cost estimate is kind of broken into different sections just to give an idea of what would be the encompassing cost for each one of these. This is based on, we consulted with one of our engineering teams within our company, as well as our sub-consultants for the elements such as the splash pad and the skate ramps. These are going to be broken down each. These are all estimates. Once it gets to the further blueprint level, these would need to be reevaluated, get current market rates whenever that ends up happening. But this is just give an idea of what that could be, and then a general idea for each category, what you could see for cost broken down by element. So we have that by grading. That would be our site feature, and just making sure this site is drainage correct and has all the different elements correctly set up for the parking. We have concrete, so that would mostly be like the loop trail as well as the plazas, any of those elements. Utilities, that would be something again that would have to be updated. And some of these might already be provided by the city into that area. These would have to again be, very hashed out by a civil engineer. Drainage, we have the 3 parking lots, the splash pad that was consulted by one of our consultants here. We'll see that on the next page or following pages here. The idea of the splash pad is going to be could be 2 different options. They do, you do see utilization of the recirculating systems, but due to the higher cost of that, we are recommending one of the more water efficient mechanical systems, and we'll also show that on the next page here. We also have the baseball and little league fields. So that's all the different elements that kind of go into the construction of the fields, as well as an option for the artificial turf upgrade, if that's something we're interested in as well. Okay, I'm not going to go into too much detail on these, just to kind of give an idea though. Each one of these is broken down by its core elements. So you have the soccer fields, the central plazas, storytelling area, pickleball courts, basketball courts, 3 different playgrounds that we're showing currently on plan, as well as the skate park. So these were the included elements that was recommended by the American Ramp skate ramp company. So they have broken down in their design, which we'll see here following, some of the different elements that they recommend based on the space, and that'll give a really great flow for people that would be using that for either on a skateboard or even on a bike. We have the ramadas, the buildings. We do have 2 main buildings on the site. There'd be the concession stand, restroom area that is centralized between the 4 baseball fields, and we also have the restroom station that would be in that central ramada right south of the Great Lawn. We have landscaping, just to give an idea of generalization. We don't really have a landscape or planting plan at this stage yet. We would recommend any kind of durable, low maintenance, low water cost trees, just to give some shade to the pedestrian scale there, but also have some low cost plantings just to kind of make that area a little more green and inviting that we currently have. And last, we have the site furnishings, we have the irrigation, electrical for any lighting. That was one of the key elements that was discussed. The lighting in that area tends to be a little bit of an issue at night for security reasons. So we do have kind of a modern lighting plan just to give an idea what that would be for both security reasons, but also just make it more inviting and multi-use throughout the year and the evenings. With that, we do have 2 totals, one with being the grand total for the non-artificial turf, and as well as one with the artificial turf. With that, there is a 15% contingency. We have seen prices rise quite a bit over the last couple of years since COVID. So there's a little bit of contingency baked into that. But again, these are just conceptual based on current market values. That could change if this is not constructed for a couple of years. That will have to be reevaluated, and it would be up to the subcontractor as well to really can help dive in with that. And then the last couple pages are just some conceptual, a little bit more detailed amenity and site features. This is the skate park design. We were given 2 options, and then kind of did the middle tier one from the American Skate Company. They were proposing a couple different ramps that really give a great different flow. They were able to really explain the different circulation within the site, how it could be used by different age groups, as well as different users throughout the period. And all these are inclusive. So the idea is that they are able to be used by by skateboarders, by rollerbladers, by BMX, as well as different ages within those. So you can have one of the ramps might be utilized at one point for the younger kids, while you have like the grinding rails and the little bit larger bowls for the older kids or adults as well. Just some of the elements that they are recommending as well. Broken down. All the surfaces are metal, so they have pretty long life expectancy, as well as they are treated with an anti-graffiti and kind of top coating that's able to be replaced pretty easily, knowing that vandalism is somewhat of an issue. So that is something we were very keen on exploring products that were going to have a very durable lifespan. We also worked with a couple of the different playground equipment companies. Play It Safe was able to provide us with some renderings and some cost estimations for a couple different configurations for all 3 playgrounds. They were also able to provide us some splash pad estimates, as well as some of the different inclusion elements there. So just to give some ideas, we also consulted with a couple other playground manufacturers within the same price range, just to give an idea, maybe some alternative ideas that we could utilize as well. One of my key ones I really enjoyed, is tying to the water theme, was this Smart Aquatic Package B that was offered. It has the dragonfly and the spitters, which is just a really cool feature. I think would really tie together that river theme, but also provide a really fun, unique element to the park as well. We also have different shade structures. We were able to work with them to get some estimates on the different types of shade structures, which ones we would recommend, as well as the metal structures that would be making up the center ramada and then the shade ramadas throughout the site. We also have a couple ideas for dugout design. There are quite a few different ones in the industry standard now, being a little bit different than this chain link design. Again, providing shade is a key element here in Arizona just due to the heat and the elements throughout the year. Then we have our site furnishings. We just gave a couple different ideas, ranges of what we see, some quality products that we've used in other parks and designs throughout the area. These ones, again, just kind of give a range of different materials. Ones are going to be able to be very resistant to graffiti and vandalism, but also have cool touch and not heat up too much in the summer months. Any material in Arizona, obviously, it does have the potential to get hot when it's 115 out or whatnot, but these are going to be some of the products that might mitigate that a little bit better. And then lastly, we would just have some suggested planting palettes, some of the trees that we suggest for being able to provide shade, as well as providing some seasonal color, and then some really low water, low maintenance plants for maybe the use as ground covers or other elements in those areas that we're proposing. And that's the proposal that we have right now. And I know that's a really quick one, rundown just kind of thrown at you, but does anybody have any questions or comments or anything you'd like to see differently? Or we're here to help and happy to be able to work with the town of Parker.
Well, first off, I'm glad I'm really looking at this, because I glanced at it before and I somewhere got it in my head that it was 34 million. So I'm glad it's only 20 million. I think I saw those,
Only.
I think I saw the signage that said 34,000 and I added a couple of zeros. And then I just wanted to clarify on page 41,
Yes.
it says trash receptacles 18 at $8,000 each. That's 800 each, right? That's not 8,000 for a trash thing, I'm guessing.
Yes, so that's
That's the enclosure.
That's the total for 18. Yeah, or roughly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those typically range anywhere from say $1,100, and we sell all the way up to about 2,000 is typical.
I mean, this is great.
We do recommend the metal ones as well versus the plastic, just because again for that durability and vandalism being a concern.
I guess my comments would mainly be for, or questions would be for Steve and Bailey. One being, I know this is like well over 100 trees. I mean, from a maintenance aspect, it's awesome. I think I love trees and shade and everything, but could we actually maintain that?
I did write that in mind, that we could probably cut some of those trees in half, not literally, but.
So
From the budget.
just think of it, this is basically a full package. All of these elements can be adjusted.
Right. No, I mean,
So
I
fro-
love
from a
the more the better, in my opinion. But
to answer your question, yes, we would have to hire additional staff to actually maintain the park.
right, that's kind of what I.
So
So this,
it's and it's what we've done over the years. So since 2008, when we had a big downturn and staff got cut virtually in half for Public Works, we've been able to bring back a number of staff to help out within the parks and at the cemetery, most importantly. But this is obviously, if this project was to come to fruition, yes, you would have to hire staff to maintain it. We
we'd have
currently
to
have
definitely
one.
consider that.
Yes,
additional
and so
to
that's
these other
something
costs.
that council would need to consider. Yes, and all the elements, like I said, are adjustable, and you don't have to do it all at once either. And certainly this is a project in scope and size and cost that you have to face. We're hoping to actually have a meeting with CRIT to actually sit down and go over this proposed plan and get buy-in from them. It's very important to get that buy-in. And then the next steps would be move forward with a plan to achieve it. If they have the buy-in and then start phasing things over the course of many years with getting the grants necessary to get it completed.
Gotcha.
So with this concept here, you're looking at hiring how many just to take care of the park?
I think at a minimum, it's 2 full-time employees. So currently we have one
Dedicated to the park.
dedicated just to that park. So right now we have one for each park. So Western, Pop Harvey.
One additional.
So we would add one additional as a minimum. So that's what I would think we would need to have to just be able to maintain.
But
In-
right
in
now,
the- In the
they're,
best case, having 3 would be the ideal.
right now, they're mowing. If we did the turf, there'd be no mowing.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why, 2 reasons why, but yes, changing over to a artificial turf system at these parks obviously cuts down on the amount of maintenance and at the same time saves the town of Parker a huge amount of water.
Right. The
Granted,
initial
this
cost is a
particular
little more.
park comes off of our actual contract. We don't actually, all the water that goes to the cemetery, Lazy D, and the city park is not allocated to us and come off of our usage of the water. That's in our contract with the Bureau of Reclamation. So just keep that in mind. But in the end, we have to obviously be smart about how we use the water. And adding those artificial turf elements can do both save the water and then save manpower from doing, that mowing.
It just costs more upfront.
Just costs more upfront, and, the amount of usage that we would get from our fields, you can make these artificial turf fields last, 20 years. It's recommended anywhere from depending on how much use they get, from about a 15 years, kind of like the golden rule to kind of replace artificial turf. But it all depends, like I said, on how much they're getting used.
Right, and the second thing that I had, which was kind of for Bailey, but I'm assuming it's for you too. I didn't see any plans for like cameras or security. I would hope that that was a priority with something of this scale, a good thought out plan, because there's a lot of corners and, little spaces, so.
Yeah, so those are some of the things that we would certainly put into play. We have cameras out there currently at the restroom, handball court area because of the vandalism issues.
Right.
So, both Nora and Chief and I know that, cameras at the parks and around the buildings, that's important for not only from a liability standpoint, but yeah, we do want to prevent this vandalism from continuing to occur. It takes more than just the town's ability to put in camera systems. It takes the community as well. So I know the Park and Rec committees has talked about, having, see something, say something type of a theme in which the community can, be really aware and report issues of vandalism instead of the town always seeing it when we come in and open up the restrooms or, catch things on the camera. It really takes the entire community to get involved with that to stop it. But adding elements, even in a design like this, in which you could have a graffiti wall, in which, it's strictly for kids to do the graffiti on, instead of them doing it on the restroom or on the handball court or wherever. So those are some of the features certainly that,
Anatomy lessons.
you can add to, this program.
Yeah, those were my obvious things that kind of came to mind. But I think it's awesome.
I do too.
I'm excited if it ever
Plan.
does, come to fruition.
So the artificial turf, you're saying 15 years, that comes to 78,000 a year. We can save that much on water and maintenance?
Not necessarily $78,000 a year, no, but as
So
far
for
as our
15
water,
years, that's
as
what
far
it
as our
comes to.
water savings is concerned, my thought was you don't necessarily have to get them all turf at the beginning. Maybe you say you get the maybe one or two done in turf, and then you work towards getting them all turfed in the end. So, like I said, all this is doable. It's just how you phase it and how you plan it. And, obviously, we're getting Aaron Hill field turfed now. Hopefully, as soon as this baseball season is over, we'll be on their schedule for that to get converted over. But from a construction standpoint and from a return on the investment, that would be something that obviously town council would have to make a decision on, but you don't have to get it done all at one time. So you can certainly phase it and make it more cost effective, maybe do it every 5 years, but by the end of things, you have artificial turf throughout.
I'm interested to see how it goes over here.
Okay. I
There's
think
really not
the
that
community's gonna love what they
grass
see, and once it's installed, I think it will be very well liked.
Great.
And there was talk of renaming it, not calling it City Park anymore.
It's actually officially in the county records considered a memorial park.
Well, that's what we were talking about, strangely enough.
Yes.
Because we were talking about people buying the trees or the benches and putting a plaque on there in memory of somebody.
Sure.
That's what, we talked about that years ago.
Sure.
When we first started having this conversation. Just call it Memorial Park.
Yeah, and similarly to, when we built the restroom concession stand at Western Park, those are all donated funds. Well, not all of them, but from basically a lot of donations and the town put in and different organizations put in to actually have that built. But having elements like that and sponsor and buy a bench, sponsored by somebody to pay for it, a tree, is similar. Yes, it's been done over the many years here.
So if, say somebody won the lottery and said, here's 20 mil to do your park, how long would it take to actually do this exactly like that, do you think? A couple years?
Yeah, it would be probably a 5-year phase plan, I'm thinking.
Really, even if you paid for it all up front and just said,
Yeah, it really depends, and how much you want to take away from, say for the Little League using the fields. Obviously, that'd be the major portion of it. A lot of it would be purchasing the equipment and making sure you have the equipment. So there's long lead time items, you never know those, what's going to happen with that. And just being able to schedule the different subcontractors to do the work is in itself a big deal. So I don't know if, you could probably certainly shrink that down, but, money talks.
And just for the record, I have not won the lottery. I don't even play the
Oh, darn.
lottery, but maybe I should start. All right.
Wow, thank you.
So we haven't officially met with the tribes and presented this, or?
We have not.
Okay. That's probably a good next step, right? Just to kind of gauge.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Any questions, comments? Donations? Lottery donations, anything?
I got a bunch of lottery tickets, didn't win all,
Oh,
don't
yeah, okay. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Scott.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Elliot.
Yes,
All right, you're
thank you.
welcome. Thank you
We
very much.
appreciate it. It's been a pleasure working with you guys.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, call to the public. Anybody? No? Chamber Directors Report. Is this to be your last Chamber Director report, Melissa Newton?
It is. Good evening. So, just a nice reminder that Meet the Candidates is Tuesday, the 25th at the Parker Community Center, starting at 6 p.m. I am asking the public for questions, so if you do have questions, please submit them to me before. We're not opening it up for questions there. They will be predetermined questions ahead of time. And also, we are doing our annual school supply drive. We do it every year for the new teachers that start at Parker Unified School District. There is 9 new teachers this year, so any supplies that are out there that teachers can use, please feel free to drop them off here at the Parker Chamber, Parker Elks Lodge, or David Plunkett Realty. But also this year, we're adding in 2 new Big River teachers as well, because we are the Parker Regional, so we do cover that side, and Big River has 2 new teachers this year. So that will be collected at any of those locations until July 19th. Don't quote me on that because I don't have a calendar in front of me, but I think that's it. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Melissa, I'd just like to say thank you so much. It's been a pleasure working with you. I think you're the best director the Chamber's had since probably Lisa Kruger, back in,
Andy?
yeah, my sister also worked there at one point, but your temperament is perfect for this job, and I appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. I appreciate that. So, thank you, thank you. You guys didn't have to do that, but thank you.
All right, our next item is consent agenda. The Town of Parker meeting minutes from June 4th, 2024. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Moved and seconded to approve the meeting minutes from June 4th. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 1, regular agenda, discussion action to approve deny bid award to Phoenix Water Solutions for the WIFA grant fund project for the installation of 496 iPearl water meters and 699 520M radios for $79,839. Steve?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Yes, Public Works staff respectfully request the Mayor and Council authorize staff to award the WIFA grant funded project to install 496 iPearl water meters and 699 520M radios throughout town to Phoenix Water Solutions for $79,839.31. Back on May
79 or
7th,
78?
79.
79.
Oh,
Agenda was revised. We're looking at the old one.
okay.
On May 7th,
Guys with
2020.
your electronics, see, that's what
it.
happened.
May 7th, 2024, Town Council approved the publishing of the invitation to bid on the WIFA grant-funded project to install 496 meters and 699 radios throughout town. The project was published on pipelinesuite.com, the town website, and the Parker Pioneer. On May 28th, 2024, a pre-bid meeting was held to discuss the project scope of work and answer any questions bidders may have. 5 potential bidders showed up for that meeting. On June 10th, 2024, the bid opening took place during the power outage in the council chambers. Yes, we continued on. 2 bids were received. Straight Arrow Contracting provided a bid of $814,058, and Phoenix Water Solutions provided a bid of $79,839.31. The Phoenix Water Solution bid includes everything asked for in the scope of work, and the price is in line with what staff was projecting, which was $75,000 to $123,000 for this project. The company meets all the requirements and is performing these services throughout the state of Arizona, and they're very capable of completing this project. I spoke with a representative after the bid opening, and his projected estimate on completing this project is within 3 months after receiving a notice to proceed. Contractually, we will give them 6 months to complete this project. Staff budgeted $123,133 in the FY 24-25 grants budget to pay for this project. Once completed, Phoenix Water Solutions will be paid by the town, then town staff will submit a reimbursement request to WIFA to get the $79,839.31 reimbursed. Steps following this is to issue the notice of award to Phoenix Water Solutions and begin in the planning.
WIF has been good to us.
Yes,
this
sir,
year.
they have.
All right, any discussion, questions? Entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Moved and seconded to approve the WIFA grant project as recommended. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item 2, discussion action to approve deny bid award to Canyon State for the community center roof replacement capital project for $103,000. Steve?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Public Works Department respectfully requests Mayor and Council to authorize staff to award the community center roof replacement project to Canyon State Enterprises for $103,740. On May 7th, once again, Town Council approved the publishing of the invitation to bid to replace the community center roof. The project was published on pipelinesuite.com, the town website, and the Parker Pioneer. On May 28th, a pre-bid meeting was held to discuss the project scope of work, answer any questions bidders may have, and to walk the roof at the community center. 6 potential bidders showed up for that meeting. On June 10th, 2024, the bid opening took place during the power outage. 4 bids were received prior to roofing. Bid was $109,000. Canyon State Enterprises was $103,740, and Classic Roofing $168,363, and Roofing Southwest bid was $266,886. Excuse me. Canyon State Enterprises bid includes everything asked for in the scope of work and the price in line with what staff was estimating, which is $100,000 to $175,000. The company meets all the requirements and is performing these services throughout the state of Arizona, and they've completed TPO roof replacement projects in Kingman and Bullhead City most recently that were similar in size and in scope. The fiscal impact, the funding for this project is coming from the FY 24-25 capital projects budget.
What kind of roof is it?
It's a TPO, so it's basically a material, almost like a plastic. So it has welded seams. It's more, these roofs are becoming more and more common, certainly for commercial buildings because of their ability to last a long time.
Not shingle roof. kind of.
Single roof, no.
Because when we talked about the pool years ago, and they said it was gonna be $800,000, and I thought, well, you could build a pool at that time for about 25,000. So if you just make it 8 times that big, you're looking at 200,000, and I think the same thing, a roof will cost you about 12,000 for a house. So I'm trying to multiply that in my head, but it's a whole different.
Yeah, it's a whole different
different
material.
animal.
So this actually is 2 scopes of work. It has one for the TPO, and there's 2 sections at the community center, actually 3 sections that have roof tiles. So that's replacement of those is included in this price.
How is that held down?
It's attached, mechanically attached with screws, and then over the top of the screw is they put basically a patch to hide the screws and protect those holes. But it's mechanically attached to the deck.
And
And then it goes over the top of all the walls, and on top of each of the walls is a metal, basically cap, and that prevents water from getting down into your walls. So all of it will be capped the same way the library is, the same way this building is. So it's the same material that's on these 2 buildings.
And when they cap the screw heads, is that welded in or glued in?
The screw heads on the deck or on the
ones that
walls?
They're on the roof that they're screwing it into.
Yeah, so it's just a regular screw, a deck screw that would get screwed in through the deck, and there's an ISO foam that gets put over first, and then the material gets laid on top of that, and they screw through both of those, and it secures it. And then over the top of that, they put an actual, it's a pad
And is it glued on or welded?
welded on.
Okay.
I had a question, Steve. You have any information on the durability or longevity of these type of roofs?
They're 20-year roofs. It's a 20-year warranty roof.
20-year warranty, materials and labor? and all of that
Labor's not 20 years. The labor material, I believe it's a 2-year labor and material from the contractor standpoint. But the actual roof itself, from the manufacturer, is a 20-year roof. And so they actually have to come out and verify that the roof's been installed correctly to get that 20-year warranty. So it's a requirement.
stuff. And then you talked about the scope, like there are 3 scope or 3,
There's 2 different scopes because there's 2 different roof types.
so
There's a
what's the
regular
square
shi-
footage of the TPO and then like the other projects that are gonna be?
So the total roof is about 5,000 square feet, all added together. So as far as square footage on the difference between the 2, you're probably 1,000 maybe of the shingle roof,
Mhm. Okay.
and the rest is TPO.
When do they plan on doing this if it's awarded?
As soon as possible.
Will there be any, like, how are they gonna do the work? Will it interrupt anything at the senior center?
Other than noise, it shouldn't disrupt anything. We'll have to move some vehicles to give them an area to put stock material and to have the roll-off come and take off all the material from the roof and throw it away. So my plan is to actually utilize Laguna, the side of the building over there where the vehicles are typically parked, and we'll basically block off that area, fence in that area so they can put the dumpster over there and store their materials over there. And that would be the loading and unloading location as well.
Okay, move to approve?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Thanks, Steve. Item 3, discussion action to approve, deny resolution 08-2024, approving the amendments to the Rural Arizona Group Health Trust Agreement and declaration of trust dated July 1st, 2012.
Miss Megan is not here tonight. So what this is the Raggett Board of Trustees, at their regular trustees meeting in February of 2024, approved an amendment to the trust agreement as set forth in your Exhibit A, which you guys have with effective date of July 1st of 2024. So what they're actually wanting to do is close their physical office in Kingman, and the health trust staff will be working basically from home. It's a good savings on our part as far as our insurance goes and our rates go, and it is much more feasible for them to do. They won't have that high overhead costs. This was approved, like I said, by all of the trustees at their February meeting.
Any questions, discussion? Entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution 08-2024 as recommended. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, discussion action to approve deny appointment of Angelo Jimenez to the vacant seat on the Park and Recs Advisory Board. Amy?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just a little housekeeping item. The Parks and Rec had an open seat, and they received 3 applications for that. They selected Angelo Jimenez to fill that vacant seat, so that's here making that recommendation.
So that's what they're advising, for the advisory board.
I'll second. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
I'm sorry, who was my first?
Ray was motion, I second. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item E, discussion action to approve, deny Kroger opioid settlement terms and direct the town attorney to execute the subdivision settlement participation form. But I heard that this money got swept by the state budget yesterday.
No, sir.
That's what I heard.
It's a different pot of
It
money.
is, okay. All right, go ahead,
Correct.
Nora.
A different pot. Did get swept yesterday. You have a memo that's in your packet in front of you that provides an overview of the settlement terms for the new Kroger settlement and outlines the next steps that the town will be taking or seeking if you guys decide to participate in this settlement. The full documents will be stored in the clerk's office. This is similar to the opioid settlement that we agreed with a couple of years ago, the J&J distribution. It was back in 2022, I believe, 2022. Back in there, we had the 5 additional defendants. This will also, with your approval, the monies will be turned over to the county to use in their programming with our consent, obviously. We have to have all of this kind of back, all these forms turned in and stuff by July 31st of this year to allow us to participate in this settlement. How much we're gonna end up receiving in that is not really known at this time. You know, previously it wasn't going to be a whole lot in the previous settlements. This one, we don't know. I'm gonna tell you, it's not gonna be enough for us to run the programs that they are kind of demanding and requesting that we, not requesting, but the programs that you have to do to be able to spend this money. The county's set up for more of that.
They can do specifically what they're saying. It should be prevention. Is it prevention of some sort? I mean, it's opioid settlement.
It will,
It is, but the criteria, the way this program came about, and let me give you a little background. We also don't know how many companies are in the settlement.
that's correct.
We also don't know when they projected this money, which is different from what the sheriff's department money is being held under. So now we have the Attorney General's office involved. What we didn't know is these companies can also like form an agreement. Hey, I'll just pay you off now. So instead of everybody projecting, you know, you're gonna get statewide $12 million over 18 years, well, how about now you're gonna get 5? And then it gets split up between, you know, all of the entities. So that's part of why this program has become very hard to figure out what your real funding is going to be. And so we use a lot of this money through our CHW program, our reentry program, you know, all the things to try to assist people and their families. And then we do all the reporting to the attorneys that are involved in this.
So what we're
And it's
doing,
very, the county is doing it.
Yeah.
And my office administrates this program, but I don't benefit from this program, so I just want, you know, full disclosure on that. I'm not on the grant of people that are doing this program.
I was just gonna ask if, so what we're doing is the town is requesting that the funds come in, but then we're diverting the funds over to the county because we just don't have
The
the
resources.
resources
is
to handle it. Okay, good.
Ray, you guys could get $4,000, and then here's like, here's
A
the list
huge
of
list.
requirements.
Yeah, no, I understand it now. I didn't understand.
If it was ever a huge amount of money, then that may be something that we could say, hey, let's, you know, maybe the town would want to keep it. But at this point, it's very hard. You never know when you're going to get paid, by the way.
At some point, a check will be written, or there'll be an amount we know? I would like to know what that
I
is.
can let you know.
Okay.
43 cents.
All right.
Before taxes.
So the motion or the action item is to, if we approved the terms and direct Christine to execute the subdivision settlement participation form, is that the form that diverts the money to the county?
No, mayor and council, so it's essentially a form that was just provided by the attorney general and the settlement administrator last Friday. And they already sent it to me. It's basically just saying that Parker is opting in, right?
Okay.
So you're gonna release all the claims against Kroger in exchange for, essentially opting into the settlement. And then again, we'll just kind of wait and see what the actual money is. Once everybody's in, then they'll kind of know at least a better idea of how much money will be coming to Arizona and then coming to each county.
This is funny, I've never even been to a Kroger's, I've never seen a Kroger's.
Safeway.
Is it Safeway, the same corporation?
And Albertsons.
But our Safeway doesn't have a pharmacy, so, I mean, we'll take it, I guess, but,
Why this program's very difficult.
all right.
Never know where the money's coming from.
Fast enough.
So at some point, we have to take another action on this to divert the money to the county or give it to them, or however you say it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so right now you have an existing agreement, I believe, with the counties for the past,
Right.
you know what I mean?
I remember
settlement
that.
you've already done. So sure, they'll probably come forward at some point when they have a better idea of how they always have to get the town's input.
Yeah, you gotta see what the
before
pot
they
is
use the
and
monies.
how many to split, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, based on that, I will make a motion to approve the settlement terms, whatever they may be, and direct the attorney to execute the subdivision settlement participation form.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, council member liaison reports. Anybody?
I'm pulling mine up for the town, or the senior center, so. You can go ahead and go ahead, Jerry, you have yours.
I'll let Marion do it this time.
I called in, so you do it.
Well, we had a joint venture meeting. Everyone was there, which is great. Discussed the actual design of the plant that we're going to have. It's going to, instead of round tubes in the ground, it's going to be rectangle buildings up on the surface on a cement slab. And one of the reasons we're going with that scenario is that it's much faster in construction, so we can get it done a lot quicker. What?
And the grant money?
And the grant money is not here yet, but we're told it's gonna be there. So we're told we're gonna get the 4 million grant that Nora put in for us, and we're gonna get the 7.3, I think it is, but of course, we haven't seen any money yet. And then we'll know on our big grant, the 33 million, July 30th, I think is the date.
Raymundo?
Basically discuss fundraisers that were in play, and they're still doing the raffle for the pig. And they said it's about 400 pounds right now. So it's gonna, I don't know how to determine how much that's gonna process out, but
How to translate that into
yeah,
pork chops.
yeah, pork chops are how much is mud and how much is what, so.
Probably 50%.
But they're still trying to get people out, and
50%.
45 to 50, wow. So 200,
190, 200?
not bad. So get out there and support the senior center, and maybe you'll get some pork.
That's depending on what all you want. You know, if you want the tongue and the brains and everything, so.
Oh, okay. But,
So you
another-
can bring home the
All
bacon.
right. Anybody else? We did have a WACOG meeting today, but there was nothing shocking about that. I would report though, because kind of as a chamber report, I guess. The Industrial Development Authority met last Friday, and we decided to donate $125,000 to the chamber for the new building over there. Park and Recs, $4,000 for backpacks for the summer back-to-school thing. $25,000 to the Parker Community Center in a matching, I think it was a USDA grant for a new kitchen fire suppression system. And then $4,000 to the library for their new tween room. So, and then several other entities outside of Parker, but I just wanted to report on the local. We were able to do a lot of stuff this year because we had extra money, but we've never done that large of contribution. Other than the county, we gave $500,000 several years ago. But other than that, and I'm happy to do it. I know the chambers need it, and I would thank Christina, we tried everything that we possibly could to make some money move their way from our bed tax, and there's too many restrictions. We just couldn't do it, so.
Yeah, unfortunately, the gift clause just hampers, yes, the town's ability to do it, yeah.
So, anyway, anybody else have anything? No? Okay, announcements. Tomorrow is Juneteenth. Town offices are closed. Monday, the 24th, Streets and Traffic Advisory Board at 5:15. Tuesday, July 2nd, the next regular council meeting at 6 p.m. And the meeting is adjourned.
Listen, what were the numbers for the tube float?
100,000 for roof.
I was